Our school's theme for this year is Larger Voices Calling. It sounds like
Larger Voices Calling?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like Abraham Lincoln is a larger voice that calls to you. What is he saying?
Well, Abraham Lincoln, to me is somebody who symbolizes a time when what really mattered was character. I actually don't think of him in terms of well, he's not a loud voice calling. He's an important voice calling. He's a profound voice calling. And, he came from an era in this country that historians call the culture of character, where people really were valued by what was inside. Were they good people? Were they performing good acts? As opposed to, did they have the most razzle-dazzle type of personality? I mean, in today's world, I don't even know if Abraham Lincoln could be elected, because he doesn't have that kind of facile charm.
Is there anybody else that is more of a larger voice that's really calling louder to you?
A larger voice calling louder. That's a good question. I mean, somebody like a President Obama is actually an interesting character, because I think he's both quiet and thoughtful, but also really, on stage has this fantastic facility for oratory that's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
So we made another sticker, facebook.com, CALM.
So creative, wow.
As an introvert, what do you think of social networking?
Oh, that's interesting. I think it's a kind of double-edged sword. I'm really in favor of it. I think it allows people to communicate in excitingly new ways. And for introverts who might not be comfortable raising their hand and addressing a room full of thousands of people, you can actually address thousands of people online without having to feel so uncomfortable about it. On the other hand, I do think that with social media, there's a real pressure to kind of always be online and never disconnect. And I think also for kids your age, I mean, you can tell me how you feel about this, but it seems like there's a lot of focus in your online lives on your self-presentation. When you go to Facebook and it's like, how many friends do you have, and how many pictures of yourselves at great parties are you showing? Yeah. So I think that's a kind of a pressure to be false almost in a way, because you're having to think all the time about what face are you presenting to the world. And I think when social media is really working at its best is when you're using it as a form of true self-expression and true connection with people.
Yeah, it's a really good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You said that introversion is the new black. How do you think we can make introversion not just the new black, but a classic?
That's a good question. Well, I think that, and by the way, I didn't say this. This was one of my readers, I guess, who tweeted this, and I was like, this is great. If somebody's out there tweeting this, then I know I'm doing my job. But in terms of how to make it a classic, I think it's a matter of, going out and continuing to talk about it and advocate for it. And I really see this as the way, what women did for women's issues in the 1950s and the 1960s, which was a kind of mass raising of consciousness of the question, I think is what introverts need to do now. It's a kind of consciousness raising that we need to do in our schools and our workplaces, and to really not let up about it.
Yeah. Quiet children ahead. How do you think we can make the world better for the introverts, extroverts, and ambiverts?
Well, I think it's a matter of truly understanding what these different temperaments mean. And it's a question of self-awareness and then awareness of each other. And I think everything kind of flows from that.
If I was an introvert, I would be afraid that I wouldn't be able to make friends. Do you have friends?
Oh, wow, what a funny question. Yes, I have friends, and I've always had friends. And I think it's important that you're asking this question, because introversion really in no way is it synonymous with not having friends. It's more about how you like to interact with people. So I usually prefer to see my friends one-on-one, or, I don't know, maybe going out to dinner with two people, that kind of thing. I don't so much like I don't know, sometimes I like a big party too, but
Yeah.
like I would never choose to celebrate my birthday, as I was saying before, with 30 people. I would always rather just go out with a few people. But no, I've always had lots of friends.
Okay.
When we're older, we'd like to get married. How does an introvert find love?
Good question. Really the same way everybody does. You know, maybe you find love through shared interests. Maybe you are standing online at the train station and strike up a conversation with someone and you really like each other and you go on a date. And yeah, it's really the same as it is for anybody else. I would just say, you know, the key for introverts is to put themselves in social situations where they feel like it's the right amount of stimulation coming at them. So not, you know, not too much at any one time.
Did you meet your husband or did your husband meet you?
That is a funny question. We met at a party. It was a going away party for him. He was going to Iraq the next day to report for the New York Times Magazine, and some friends had thrown him a going away party, and they invited me to come. And I guess in a way, that's such an insightful question, because it was more that he met me. In the sense, he came up and he talked to me, and we only talked for 1 minute at the party, but he then, like, he was like, okay, this is it. And he emailed me the next day from Kuwait City, and we went out on a date as soon as he got back, and that was it. We were together.
Okay. In our research, we heard that you had 2 sons. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When you went to summer camp, your mom packed you a suitcase full of books. Here's a suitcase full of books that we thought would be important.
Our Teen Press team got together and we picked out 2 books for preschool, and the 2 books that we picked were The Very Hungry Caterpillar and The Giving Tree.
This was one of my favorite books growing up.
And
Thank
for
you. Wow.
elementary
Oh
school,
my gosh, you guys.
we picked out Harry Potter
Wow.
and Charlie and
Charlie,
the Chocolate
I
Factory.
loved this book. There was no Harry Potter when I was growing up, but this book I loved, and the movie too.
Yeah. And then for middle school, we picked Holes
I don't know that one.
and The
then
Hunger
Games, which I still haven't read, and I need to. This is so thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're all girls here. We all love one thing in particular. Milk or dark?
You are so right. Dark.
Okay.
Dark. And I have to say, I never go a day in my life without chocolate. I mean, never, not one.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Oh, it was my pleasure. This really was the most fun interview.
Thank you.
So creative. You did a great job.
Thank you.